here. Uh, I didn't try to get you to debate me on veganism. You're very
No, I
clear-headed
know.
because I never
Yeah.
I've never pushed it on anybody. I don't do that. But I'm so excited. I'm always so excited when somebody wants to engage with it. You have no idea.
I don't know what this is going to be. If this is going to be a debate, or I don't know how it was going to turn into. Because I don't talk about it either, and I'm kind of interested in exploring my thoughts and your thoughts. I don't really know. I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah, if there's
Me's,
anybody that I
yeah.
trust to have a good faith conversation about something that people are so like super uptight about, it's you. Because you
Okay.
are like you are ruthlessly good faith. Like even like I feel like if you noticed that you weren't and you were bothered by it, you just say it. You'd say like I'm having a really hard time dealing with this in a like honest and principled way. Like you just tell me. And I love
Yeah.
that.
Yes. So the only thing I'm worried about is when I'm nervous, what happens, right? Because then your faculties start to kind of shut down a little bit, and emotions can get in the way. Like I don't think I'm gonna end up screaming at you and telling you to go fuck yourself, because because I don't. Sorry if you're streaming. I'll try to
You could say
abstain
fuck
from.
yourself.
Okay. I'll try to you know,
As long as
abstain
you
from
ain't
doing.
dropping the N bomb on here, I ain't getting in trouble.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, no, the reason why I like talking to you in general is that you are honest all the time. I never have to question what you're saying. Like, I don't care if you, like, and if you say something that's just like emotional or whatever, you tell me everything. You're the most transparent person I've ever had a conversation with in my life, and I love it.
Yeah.
I don't have to
No,
guess about anything.
I try to do that. It can be overwhelming for a lot of people.
I get
Um,
it.
yeah, just because most people aren't that honest, and then it also gets mistaken for autism because people think if you're just honest that you can't lie, and like I'm actually a really good liar if I want to be. I just don't like doing it. I don't want to do it. I don't think it's a good thing to do. So I
I
just
say the same
force
thing all the
myself.
time.
Yep, yep, yep. So I mean,
I,
it causes me a lot of problems too. You know, it's not all good things with honesty. That's for sure.
and
That kind of goes.
people think sometimes it's a facade that you use to lie to people. I'm sure because that
Yeah,
happens to
and
me.
that one's really frustrating. Then I've got caught like trying to convince people that I'm being honest, and then you even look more dishonest, and it's just like fuck. It's just you're just in like a never-ending loop of miscommunication. Yep.
It makes me really mad when somebody calls me a liar. That's probably the easiest way to piss me off. He's like, bro, do you know how much better my life would be if I just lied?
Yeah, yeah. You
The
can do a lot of
advantages that come
things.
to lying to people is so great because I watch liars have
Cutting out
fucking
a
great
little
lives
bit.
all the time.
Cut
Um,
out a little bit there.
oh, I said, do you know how great my life would be if I just lied? Because liars have, I see people get advantages of lying all the time.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
so
especially if
it's
you're
like you're,
crafty and good with it.
yes, it's like you're condemning me for something that I'm not even reaping the benefits of.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've had to tell people before, like, I'm not lying, but I could be what's the word? Like deceiving myself on an accident. And there's always the chance of that. And that just gets silly. It's like that's always the case. So I shouldn't have to like qualify this. Like I could always unknowingly be lying to myself and just making shit up. Just like you, just like me. Like, but I'm not intentionally doing anything to fuck with you. So it's yeah. I usually when the conversation goes somewhere like that, it's gone at that point. The trust isn't there, and you're not gonna get anywhere.
You're just figuring out how long it's gonna take before you get fucking pissed off and don't want to deal with it anymore. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that is what it is.
Um, so I just want, especially since I know you're gonna take me at face value. One thing I want to be clear is that I'm never ever saying that I think animals are more important than people. Never.
Eh,
If it sounds like that's what I'm saying, it's not. Uh, when a lot of times when I have this
Well, that would be
conversation with
ludicrous.
people,
So I
yeah.
wouldn't I wouldn't think. Yeah.
So when I say some people are like, "Well, are you saying that animals are more important?" People are like, I didn't fucking say that. That's your own insecurities about freaking out about the realizations you're having during this conversation coming out. So
Hmm.
for me, the main idea is that I don't think that it's okay to torture, mutilate, and kill something for my own pleasure. And I don't think that you think that
Okay.
either.
I would distinguish between those things, but also I just want to stay, I guess, where I'm coming from in general. I don't really, I've like briefly thought about veganism. I live in an area where there's a lot of vegans, there's a lot of hippies, there's a lot of hippie communities, and there's a lot of vegans there. So and they're mostly cool about it. They're not trying to like push their thing on you. But I have only kind of like glanced at it intellectually. I haven't really delved into it. And where I guess I'm at is I fucking love meat. That's it. That's where
You
I'm at.
see me, buddy. I still got. I've been vegan for a year and a half, but I still got the meat weight. I ate so many bacon cheese sliders when I
Oh,
worked at this
bacon.
restaurant. Yeah, dude, and we had what's called like firecracker sauce, and I would just go into work just so I could make myself that with like a milkshake and then like curly fries with a cup of cheese. I ate that shit all the time because I got like 70% off.
Yeah. And before you were mentioning before, pigs, they are one of like the smartest animals, whatever that metric is. But yeah, they're pretty intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
There is some. So I guess back to what you're saying. You said what, three things? Torture, killing, like mutilation, and I think you might
Mm-hmm.
have said something else. But I
Torture,
would
mutilation,
probably
killing.
okay. I would probably separate these concepts out. Um, so you'd have to tell me what you think mutilation is, what you think torture is, and what you think killing is, and then how those are different concepts and how they interact with each other. Because in my brain, killing something is different than torturing it, and same with killing
Mm-hmm.
something is also different than mutilating it. And mutilation is different. Mutilation and torture, I don't know. Those are pretty close in my brain to pretty close
So
concepts. But
almost all mutilation is torture, but there's torture that happens that isn't mutilation and killing when it comes to animal agriculture.
okay,
So uh,
like factory farming, like if you have a bunch of chickens stacked on top of each other and their like legs are breaking and like that shit, would
oh
you consider
god,
that like
the
mutilation or like
I would consider that torture and mutilation. The chickens got me
okay,
really bad. I found out it's not just their
that's
cramped
bad.
quarters. If a chicken hears another too many other chickens, it actually makes it go crazy. Like it goes
Oh God,
insane.
just
So
psychologally torturing them too.
yeah,
Fuck.
big time.
Yeah.
When I wasn't vegan, but I was in high school. And I was in animal science. And one of the projects was we raised chickens that were supposed to go get slaughtered. I said, "Oh, I'm not doing that. You
Yeah.
can't make me
Yeah.
do that." And I found out you have to put a red light on them because chickens are really aggressive towards each other. So if one of them gets like a wound and it sees red, if they see red on it, they'll attack the one and kill it
Huh.
because they're
Interesting.
just very aggressive with one another. So yeah, I don't know if that plays
Yeah.
into like what drives them insane, but I know that there's no farms out there that don't have chickens for like bigger farms that have chickens laying eggs that aren't around. They're all around too many to not make them go insane.
Yeah, they're usually in even if you're doing like a more like a sustainable farming techniques, you still have like a chicken run in a pen. You can make the run somewhat big and then more comfortable, but I don't know if there's an exact science like how many chickens to a pen. And people, if you're trying to, usually when you're trying to make money off things, you start doing your incentive structure starts getting a little warped, and you're not caring for animals like like subsistence farmers. Back in the day, I view them more as like caring for their animals. They're using them and eating them, but also caring for them. There isn't the profit drive. It's more just a survival, for your family and maybe neighbors if you can in trade. Which we're a long ways from that. So I would probably I would separate out like the capitalist endeavor and then like the subsistence farming. And you probably wouldn't. You'd probably say they're
No, no.
both okay.
I say both are bad, but better's always
Okay.
better. That's one of the
Yeah.
things that people like a lot of vegans I have problems with is that they can't admit when something is better. If you hunt your own food, I think that's better. If it's living a free life its entire time, but then all of a sudden you decide, okay, you've had enough life, now I'm gonna kill you to eat you. I think that's bad, but it's way better than giving it a life of like hell, only so that you can inevitably end it, so that you can eat it. that's significantly better, but I would say like we still could go without that. Um,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
then the mutilation is for some reason people seem to think that we kill animals in a really humane way. One, we the way that we kill animals is super duper fucked up, and like slaughterhouse workers have
Then it's just like a pin that just like
there's
no.
all
I
kinds of
know.
ways. Sometimes they snap their necks with their hands. Sometimes they use
Yeah.
machines. I watched
Well, I
this
was thinking
video.
cattle. I think chickens. Yeah. I don't know what they do with chickens.
There's a video I got sent to. Perspective Philosophy actually sent to me, but I was already vegan, so I was really mad that I had to see it. They killed this cow with this like guillotine kind of thing, and it goes down and it hits, and then it slowly goes through, and
Did
I
it
just
not go?
watched its face. Yeah, it's just face as it like knows that its like neck is being cut. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Um, and not only that too, people talk about like humane killing. I don't think there's any such thing as like humane killing that didn't have to happen because like if it's humane, then I don't think that anybody like if you're in say in favor of like an 80-year-old woman saying I'm I'm done, like the cancer's too much for me, like can you just like morphine me up, if you're okay with that, which I think a lot of people are pretty okay with like assisted suicides, you would never be okay with them killing them like the way they did the most humane killings in a farm, quote unquote humane.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. But then you're kind of you're getting into the the
But
importance
that's
of
what
humans
humane
compared.
means. Humane means like
Yeah.
of
Okay.
human
Okay. Okay. It's just
decency. So yeah,
yeah.
I
Okay.
don't like the word humane. Like we try my point here is that
I
we
could
try to
see that.
pretty up a
Yeah.
lot of things to trick ourselves into thinking we're not doing as horrible things as we do because I think deep down most people know that it's wrong what we do.
Well, I'm fine with saying it's not humane, and then actually that doesn't bother me. We
Yeah,
can
I
use
just
that.
sort of like
That's
painting the picture of how we interact with the ideas of what we do.
okay. So,
Um
do you think there's ways that humans kill humans that isn't humane but is morally justifiable? You're gonna
I
you
would just
have to
say
say yes to that.
self-defense.
Yeah, the self-defense is a great
Oh, I'd kill an
example,
animal
and
in a heartbeat if I thought if it was gonna hurt me. Like if there was a wild dog. So sometimes I have to go to Detroit, and I seen some dogs out in Detroit that I wish I had a gun for. If it started charging me, I'm gonna shoot them. I don't give a shit. That's self defense.
okay,
the The problem is that if I kill it to eat it, I killed it and I didn't have to at all.
okay, fair. That's okay. You didn't have to at all because there's an alternative, and say a plant-based alternative.
hmm I'm
Okay.
eating some these chicken patty things. They're like spicy. This slap, dude. My wife likes them too. My wife's really tough on like when I first started going vegan, she didn't want to try none of my food and stuff, and now she people
It's got
know.
really good. Yeah, no, it's got really good. The flavor excuse is getting smaller and smaller.
Even the
Just the way you
mouthfeel and the
like it.
texture.
Yep, yep.
Well,
And
out of that too,
then
you can't say it doesn't taste good because you don't look like me if you don't eat food that tastes good.
yeah, yeah. And then the cost is also, I think, coming down pretty decently. I think it's getting more affordable. So,
It's
um,
funny because it is. I feel like some of my food's expensive, but then I look at actual meat. Meat's insane.
yeah, meat's not cheap. Especially if you're
It's
trying to
gone up
get a
so
decent
much.
cut for a steak. Yeah, it's not cheap. I mean, you can get some like flank steaks or some just shitty steaks, and then try to bear through eating those. But no one, no one just eats those like that. It's like a roast, or you put them in something. Um. Okay. So the killing in itself isn't the issue. Um. There is
It is an issue
times
to me.
where it is an issue, but there are times
Oh,
where you say humans can die or animals can die.
sure. Okay, yeah, yeah. It's the reason for the killing, which
Right.
is
Yeah.
for pleasure.
Okay. So I'm so I guess the issue I kind of have right now, I get what you're saying and I understand it. Why is killing the animal bad in your view, and why is killing the plant not bad? Or
Okay.
harming the plant, or how do you, or whatever you want to say. I guess that you're not ending its life necessarily, or maybe you are, depending on what plant it is. Harvesting it might actually end its life cycle. Um,
I care about the capacity for suffering in sentience. So
isn't that a human projection though? Like how would you So
Mhm.
this is it, it seems like you would have to be projecting what you think consciousness is onto another life form, and then relating it to how you are as a human.
Yeah, I
Like,
would say
how do
I'm
you?
just as confident that an animal has consciousness and sentience as I am that you are. I can't know that I'm not the only sentient thing and that everything is just a product of my consciousness. But I gauge that you're conscious because the way that you react to things is similar to the way that I understand that I would react, barring certain, like, if I can just add certain things onto like if I just like map my own like experience onto like things about you, it seems to make sense to me that you have a really similar experience to me, right?
No, I understand the consciousness when we're talking about humans, but I don't understand it when we're talking about animals. I have like I think there's a conflation happening, right? Like
Yeah,
we're
so I can
we're
I
we're
can move that. So when an animal you have pets, you have a dog, right?
yeah, I got two dogs.
What happens when you step on your dog's paw?
I kick it.
You
I
step
step
on its
on it and then I kick it, and then I kick it, and I say, "Shut up, you stupid mutt," and then
That's
it
not
runs away.
true.
No, no, I know, I don't,
It
I
it
don't,
pulls
I
its
don't.
paw away and it yells,
Yeah,
right? And sometimes it'll even
yeah.
put its hand up. This is how I would react if something equally larger than me stepped on my foot or my hand. I would probably yell and I'd pull it away. So like this is very similar to my own experience.
Well, plants
Also,
do the same thing. It's just not. It's not similar in experience. Like plants, depending on the plant, you touch it, it might curl up, or you cut it, it'll start oozing pus. Like there's a lot of things plants do to indicate that you have harmed them. That it doesn't translate the same way as if you're harming an animal, because there's a closer similarity just
mhm.
visually and appendix. But I don't think that's a good barometer necessarily.
So there's two things. One,
Yeah.
I'm trying to convince you based on your standards, and I know that you don't think that plants feel pain or have suffering in a way that matters to you.
Right. Yeah.
The
No,
other thing
I
is that
don't think, but so I don't necessarily think that the way that I experience pain is the only way that pain or the only thing that matters. I actually don't even think pain is bad necessarily. So just
that's why I
because
say
it
suffering
causes pain,
usually.
suffering either. I don't think suffering is necessarily bad. Suffering is a life condition, and it actually is a catalyst for growth, in my opinion. Even in a tree. So if you cut a tree's limbs, I'm not even kidding. If you cut a tree's limbs, you can say it's suffering, but it actually spurs it to send hormones out to grow more. So
I
it,
don't
it, it is a
disagree, but I fail to see
so
the growth that's going to happen in an animal that has its legs broken. And it gets tortured psychologically by having its babies taken away from it, even though they cry out. That has
yeah.
like the conditions when we talk about animal agriculture is a degree of suffering which I think that we don't consider to be good for growth.
It's this yes. If I put human suffering onto animals, I would agree with you. So I'm unwilling to do that though. That's kind of what I'm trying. I'm unwilling to just say because it looks similar, it is the same, and therefore our systems of morality apply to it because of the visual similarities. It bleeds, it breaks, it has the same structures. Like, does this go all the way to insects at a certain point? Like, can you eat insects, or is that a no-go too?
I could eat clams and oysters. I could probably eat a jellyfish if I wanted to. I don't
So
want
this is
to,
getting
but I could because they don't
so
have. I care about a central nervous system. I care about a brain. I care about consciousness. When I talk about the capacity for suffering, I care that there is a conscious experience happening that is suffering in a way that I understand suffering can be, and and when I understand that it has all the equipment for it, it reacts in a way that I can identify and empathize with. I go, this is giving me enough signs to where if I was a betting man, I'd have to put almost all of my money on the fact that yeah, this is a kind of suffering that is comparable to the kinds of suffering I would imagine if I was in that position I would have. Because it's not just visual. If you
but
continue to harm animals, they'll try to flee from you. They'll hide. They'll
so
shake like they're scared. Everything is so similar that I can't say like this is at least similar.
but I don't. So you're saying suffering, but suffering isn't a biological response alone. It is
Sure.
that, but it's also so then it's coupled with the consciousness.
Yeah,
So
yeah, which
like
animals have.
so human consciousness. So suffering, as we understand it, is the biological response coupled together with human consciousness. And like so the issue I'm having is like you're putting that human consciousness part onto the animal.
You
And
do too, though.
that for I yes, I simulate it. I act like it is the situation for domesticated animals like my dogs.
Yeah,
And that's because they're
well,
part of the family.
I don't think
I
that you
don't
could just act
necessarily.
like it. You believe it because you couldn't turn off the act.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, sure. But
Um,
I don't act like that for a deer. Let's say if you're hunting a deer or, a pig. I don't have the same responses.
mhm.
It's not part of the family. I'm not caring for it. I think there's a thing where, when you're feeding something, you're caring for something, you become part of its ability to survive and it's your responsibility. So like I treat it that way because I'm creating that situation, and it
The
just kind of happens.
responsibility
But
only exists though because if you abdicated that responsibility, it will cause suffering in the animal, and that would hurt you because you can empathize with its suffering. You're not pretending to empathize with it. It's something that happens inside of you.
yeah, yeah, no, no, for sure.
And
But
so,
like I said, I don't have that with wild animals.
sure. So the first thing that got me was pigs. I found out some stuff, and over the course of 3 months, I was just like, I can't eat pigs anymore. The things that did it for me was I found out that pigs
They're
have best
great pets
friends.
too. Yeah, they're actually really good pets. A lot of
Uh,
people
yeah,
have them as pets.
yeah, they're domesticatable because they're very smart. They'll have best friends. They hold
Mhm.
grudges. Holding grudges really got me. They
That's
have an
impressive.
extremely highly developed social structures. When a pig's like close like best friend or a family member that they're close with dies, they mourn for them. They
It's
will
like the
go to where they
best.
saw them laugh last and they'll cry.
Yeah,
And it
works.
occurred to me that like I don't think that my meal is worth somebody crying because their mom died.
I was about to say earlier while you were saying this, I was trying to inject pork's so good. I was just trying to just just inject it while you were saying that. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but also pork is really good. Um,
It is.
that sounds what you're talking about. Yeah, that sounds like mate. Okay, so another one is like dolphins. I don't know if you ever
Mhm.
saw the documentary The Cove, what
Mm-mm.
Japan was doing to.
But I
Oh
know
man,
that they
it's
can get
brutal.
high, they masturbate, they do a lot of really human-y stuff, man.
Yeah, so there's wild dolphins. I can't remember. I think that it's in South America that actually work together with the fishermen,
Hmm.
just wild dolphins, to catch fish. Like they'll actually corral the fish for the fishermen to get them, and they'll get some in the process, and then the fishermen will get some, like their own, call it whatever, conscious free will, whatever you want to say. They're doing that. They don't have. And here's the thing, just thinking about it right now, like, is that actually thought, like a good thought, or is it like, hey, we can use these humans as kind of a barrier as well, and it allows the fish, like, it actually works to corral the fish better. So like over time, they've just learned that the fish go to this area, and the if the humans are there, it kind of creates this
But I
kill
think
zone
that's what
for them. And
consciousness is. That's what I think. That's all that I think that the thing that I value. I think they're representing the only thing that I actually value in human consciousness. Because when a human lacks these features, I don't really give a shit about them. If somebody's
so
brain
so
dead, I don't really give a shit about this person anymore. They're not a person to me.
So that isn't the only thing that I appreciate about human consciousness. I think that's getting closer just to like a biological incentive. If you're just considering consciousness biological incentive structures, I think yes, then it starts getting gray. What animals aren't conscious and what humans, like all humans are conscious then. And but what I value about the human brain isn't just the biological incentive structure that they get stimulus and then they respond.
Hmm?
It's what we've talked about before, like the principles you can have, the way you can go against that. Like you can supersede it with a different structure and go against your incentive structure for a higher order principle, more abstract principle. So the ability to abstract is actually what I value in humans. And I actually think you do too. Like everything you love about humans is probably an abstraction from the base biological incentives. I would think.
I think that that's something that I appreciate greatly, but if somebody was just the same all the time and they couldn't do that, I would not lack empathy for them
Yeah,
to the point to where I would consider harming them for pleasure.
I agree, but I don't know what that is. I think that's a biological system. It's like look same, act same, feel same, empathy. Period.
I guess to
I
me
think
it
that
doesn't matter what's happening in my body that makes me feel that way.
yeah.
Um and because I think that there is something that about us that connects us to not just other humans, but it connects us to animals. Like anybody who's owned a dog
No,
knows
for sure. Yeah,
knows that dogs love. We would call it love.
yeah.
It might not be the same as human love because they act different towards different people. And you want to talk about a principled creature? Dogs are probably the most principled animals in the entire world. You know what your dog's going to do in response to everything that you do because they're consistent as fuck.
I don't know, man. You should see one of my dogs. I swear to God, it thinks about it, and it's like you know what's right here, and it's like not feeling it, motherfucker. I'm not really feeling it right now.
Well, it doesn't know it knows what you think is right, and it's trying to weigh what its
yeah,
real desire is against that, which means your dog is being really consistent here. It's just going
yeah.
like, do I do what
He's a
I
smart
want and
one.
just take the
Yep,
punishment for it? That's what he's
yep.
weighing.
That's what he does quite often. He's like, oh,
Yeah, because
I'll
his
take it.
principle is I want to do what I can get. I want to do what makes me happy, and if I can get
Yeah,
away with it, I'm gonna do it. Um,
yep.
and so I I value that. I value anything that can express compassion like that. Uh,
Passion, understanding. Yeah,
yeah. So like, I don't like all animals when I meet them. It's funny. My wife's a vet tech. I've told her before, like, I don't like every dog. Some dogs are assholes. Some
oh
dogs
yeah,
are like just like shitty people. It might been the owners, it might not, but I think some dogs are born to just be dickheads. Doesn't mean I want to
mhm.
like kick them in the face or nothing, but I don't want to be your friend. You're a dick. Go away, shitty dog.
Yep. But what do you think about a dog that we'll say, has a taste for blood and likes to harm humans? Would you be, do you think it needs to be put down or should it just be like homed somewhere where it's kind of isolated? Like
I
ideally
think
probably home somewhere.
I would treat it the same way I would treat a person who has the same kinds of tendencies. Like if there's a
I
way
think
that
we
we can safely
treat
deal
this
with you,
differently.
then we should do that. I don't think that we should kill you, especially if you're like most of the time people and animals have this because of something that was done to them. So to some degree, we go like it's not your
Yeah.
fault. You do have
Yep.
agency and you're using it poorly. We need to get you help so that you can use it in a way that understands like the rules and empathy. And I have a really good understanding of this because my wife, she works she's had worked with like a lot of like high risk dogs and the people that work with them and whatnot. She wanted for a long time for us to get this dog named Mama, and I was like, I don't want to live with that dog. I understand, but she requires too much work. If there's people over, she's just gonna bark the entire time. She has too much. It would be too much of a burden for us to take her, for me to feel comfortable living with it. I don't want an animal that I'll resent. The same I would treat
Yeah,
the
that's
same way if it
smart.
was a house
Yeah.
guest. I could
Yes.
care about you a whole bunch. I could love you, but if you're going to make me miserable in my own house, I'm so sorry. If there's some other way I can help you, let's talk about that. But you can't stay at my house.
So we're not just talking about feeling miserable or, getting resentful towards something. We're talking about like, let's
You're not worth my
imagine it's
livelihood.
yes, like livelihood. We have a dog that's killing humans, or a human that's killing a bunch of humans.
Yeah,
And it's not doing it to you, but it's doing to a bunch of other people. I think you can. I guess the concept would be like you
if
can
you can't
conscript.
capture it safely, take it out. Yeah, either
I
one.
think that's self-defense. I think you
Mm-hmm.
can conscript other people when something has been shown to continually kill other things. I don't think. I think this falls into a different category where killing it isn't an act of aggression anymore. I don't know
Yeah, I
exactly
think it's
what's
self
at play
defense.
there. That's the best word I have for it, but it's not happening to you, so it's not. So I'm talking about when it's happening to other people and it's happening to other people
Yeah,
continually.
my
It's like,
prescription to the other people is to kill it if you can't, and if, unless you can capture it
correct.
safely and you know it's safe,
Yeah.
you don't have to risk yourself for it.
But what about if no one can do it because no one's qualified to do it? So you bring in
Kill
qualified
it.
people to go kill it. They're actually not in harm's way because they're qualified and trained to handle it, and it's not even self defense for them. It's like a conscription effort to bring people qualified to handle and kill the thing that is killing a bunch of things. So
Sure.
it's a kind of a gray area. Like that's I think the idea behind capital punishment in general, and there's lots of issues with it, but it's basically a self-defense conscription is kind of that
Yeah,
the
I'm only
state's
okay with
taking
killing
over.
somebody in a situation where, like, if you've already captured and subdued and removed the person as a threat and they can't be a threat to anybody, I think it's very fucked up to kill them then.
So you'd be just life in jail or
I
I
think
think the better solution is like exile or life in prison or something. But yeah,
I'm a big
exile
fan
probably.
of like just like entire like prison reform to where like we try to make you better. The purpose should be like we like you're the product of the society that you live in. The society you live in is now responsible for you.
Yes,
If we
yeah,
created a
to an
monster,
extent,
we need
not
to
completely, but
demonsterify
yeah.
you. Yeah.
So yes, we're kind of getting
And
off the
you know
rails of the
and the
vegan,
thing the
but
thing is that you don't get it if you're that monster, you don't get a say in it. We're going to take your agency away from you for now. You don't get a say in it. We're going to do the thing that we've agreed that we do to monsters now, which is in my ideal world, make you better, demonstrify you.
demonstrify you.
I guess
Yeah,
I'd be okay with the clause like if you want to go live in this like wild ass place that we like if you want to go into exile and we have a space for that, sure, you can choose that instead or you can get treatment. That's fine with
I
me too.
think I honestly, because I think exile. This is we're off topic, but I think exile gets rid of the problem where some monsters can't be monsterfied. So then you just isolate them, and then and you're not taking their agency away. Then
Yeah.
you allow them all the agency. So like exile for me is probably the best solution. It's an old one, an oldie but a goodie. But I don't we don't really that's good. But yeah,
I
this
don't think
isn't.
it's off topic because we're talking about what do we think about people, and by extension,
Yeah.
where does our empathy extend out for consciousness and things that
Yep.
have the ability to make choices.
Yep. No, yeah,
So I may not think
man.
that animals are inherently more important than humans ever, but I don't think you can have an honest conversation about animal rights without making certain comparisons because we they are comparable. I think most people, if they seen somebody beating the shit out of a dog on the side of the road, they would up to hospitalizing this person, beat the shit out of them to get them to stop. If you pull
Yeah.
them off the dog and they go "fuck you," and
I'll,
they even if they don't hurt you, if they pull yourself away and they just want to keep on beating this dog, you're like, all right, I'm gonna fuck you up, dude. Stop
yeah,
beating
no,
this
yeah,
dog.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's
and
comparable.
probably even a wild animal. Like if someone say I don't know, there's an injured wild animal, like torturing animals in general, right? Like no one is a fan of torturing. So there is something to what you're saying. Like if someone's just like carving into a tree, we're not like, oh, you're torturing that tree, like you carve your name to it. Stop torturing trees. Some people, okay. There's probably people that think you're torturing trees when
Yeah.
you do that, but yeah, I get what you're saying, and same wavelength as you, and I'm trying to figure out like what I just like meat. I think that's like the core of it. Like I get what you're saying, I get the consciousness, and I understand the similarities of like animal consciousness and human consciousness and how I can empathize with them and how that interacts. And that doesn't pertain to plants, but I still think it's human centric, and it doesn't make a lot of sense other than that's how I feel. But then I have the competing feeling of this tastes really good. And I'm detached from it enough where I don't see the potential harm inflicted. But I am working on getting into more subsistence farming situation.
Uh sure, I
So
created
that,
a thought experiment where there's a really high like well-known figure in veganism that agreed with me. I said that I posted my ethical vegan farm. My ethical vegan farm would consist of several chickens and a couple of cows. They get to live on my farm until they die, and when they die, then I eat their bodies. That's totally fine. I'm not exploiting them whatsoever. And with the chickens, if they have any unfertilized eggs, I'm allowed to take and eat their eggs, but I'm not allowed to push them to produce more eggs than they should.
Yeah. All right.
So the exchange that should be met for consuming the flesh and exploiting these animals in the way that I'm taking something from them is that the fair trade-off is that I give them a better life and I don't choose to end their life. Uh, their life ends when it ends. That is like a partnership that I would have with these animals, and then I could eat them when they die. That is a very pretty dog, by the way.
He's my boy.
I got 3 dogs and 2 cats.
Give me a second. I'm just gonna let him outside.
No problem.
Yeah. I'm gonna kick him first and then let him outside.
Oh,
I'm
right. I
kidding.
don't believe that we have a purpose in life. It's so funny. Before the stream, I talked to Catdogbark about that. People think that there's this magical thing called a purpose, and I don't believe in that. I think that purpose can only mean something that makes you happy and makes you look forward to the next day. I don't think. I think when most people talk about purpose, it's like this divinely like de- declared thing, and I just don't believe that that's a thing. So because I don't think if somebody was torturing a pig in front of my house, they're like driving a corkscrew into its side and like jabbing their fingers into its eyes and stuff. Like, whoa, why are you doing that? They're like, oh, this gives me a great degree of pleasure. I don't know if anybody would be like, oh,
Cool.
that's the same thing as that they do in farms. Yeah, sure, carry on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we
So
do it.
you this is why it's such a tricky topic because there's like competing thought. Like I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I think I willfully ignore a lot
Yes,
of it when for the pleasure system.
it's
It's
not.
kind of what
You're putting too
happens.
much on yourself. I firmly believe that most people are indoctrinated. When you're a kid, you're told these things. Now, think about this. Imagine a kid. All kids love animals. No kid is born like, oh, I hate puppies. I hate
So it
kitties. That's
let's
not
just
really a
back up for a
thing.
second. Let's just back. I don't think it requires much indoctrination. So that might be a strong word because
Well, I'm
let's
trying
just
to
say
explain how it works.
bacon is so tasty. All you don't even you just have to put it in front of people and then let them eat it for a while and then on the end side just be like, oh yeah, this comes from pig, and then they'll just be like, whatever, this is amazing.
So
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of groundwork that's laid on kids. So I think that when you're a little kid and you're playing with kitties and puppies, if you have like a pet pig or something, somebody goes, "Hey, I just want you to know that whenever you eat pork chops or you have ribs or bacon, um, they're killing a little pig just like that one." The kid would be traumatized because they had been tricked. They would feel fucked up about it, like they had been tricked. That's how they found out about it. I don't think I don't think that could ever happen without causing severe psychological harm. And so what we end up doing is we just sort of feed them for a really long time and they just sort of figure it out. Most people don't sit down and explain how this
Yeah.
works.
No, you're right.
So
Yeah.
it's just such a background process that it just sort of gets blended in, and then our brain does the work of separating these things out for us so that we don't have to endure that kind of trauma. There's a really good meme that says like, would you pay me $5 to kill this cow? And he's like, no, what the fuck? And he's like, well, what if I stand over here? And he's like 10 feet away. He's like, no, what the fuck? Stop saying this. You're insane. And then it shows him like inside of a factory farm. Like, how about now? Like, oh yeah, this is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, this one's fine, totally fine. Yeah. No, I had a thought that came in my head. So like the movie Bambi was a counter, we'll say, to this concept you're talking about in indoctrination. I would say that was like a counter to it. If you talk to hunters about the movie Bambi, they're not fans. I know a couple that won't let their kids watch it because it is countering the narrative of eating animals for just eating animals.
I don't want my
So
kid to get sad when they see an animal die.
right, which is kind of messed up because like I don't know. I feel like you should get sad and you should appreciate it, And then if you still want to do it, that's fine. But you shouldn't be like a heartless fucking like animal murder. Even hunter, like hunters should be connected to that system in a way in order, not to hunt too many, overhunt, or start doing what our fucking capitalist industry does, which is like cage them and then fucking, do all the whatever.
One of the things that I think makes it extremely unethical and immoral is that nobody who consumes animals or even hunts knows what it feels like to be killed. But we're all
Yes.
afraid of it. We all think it's like the worst thing that could happen to us. And so, even if animals were 2% as important as a human is, we're trading doing the worst thing you could do to something for a very fleeting, temporary pleasure to ourselves that is wholly unnecessary.
Yeah.
So it's so like the argument that you're making, I could see if I wanted to be really extreme with it, what I could say is that say there's a pedophile who's like, well, I can't have an orgasm unless I get a kid, and be like, yeah, but that's fucked up. Their kids are like, yeah, but their brains aren't even fully developed. It's not like they're like an adult who can like fully process things and all that. And like, I really like coming, bro. You have no idea. It's like, you think
Are
you
you
like
live
bacon?
right
I
now? Is this
love
happening?
coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
I told
No.
you I'm not any different. I told you I'm exactly the same on stream as I am when I'm talking privately.
Oh God.
And you'd
Yeah.
go, yeah, but like, that's so bad. They're like, have you ever come so hard that you cried? Because, bro, it's really good. How are you telling me that I'm supposed to care about something that's like way less intelligent than me? I don't even know. Like, I barely even remember being a kid.
I get you, but now so that's why before I was trying to put a line between human consciousness and animal consciousness, or whatever you want to call it. And this is where the language gets a little weird, and we start conflating concepts. So like I don't care uh
Well,
what we call it. Humans above every animal at all times.
yeah, but not any
I think
human suffering above all animal suffering.
correct. Yes, not that though.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm able to make some comparisons here. Because the
Yeah,
kid's not
yeah,
even
yeah,
getting
yeah,
killed.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Alright. I think I'm just blocking your example out of my brain. It's kind of what's happening. But
The
I
example here is just to demonstrate that
I
because
get it.
somebody can really love something, it doesn't justify the suffering of another.
Yes.
And I've kind of gauged where you're at with your level of empathy for animals and how you would respond to protect to protect them from suffering. We seem to be
Yeah,
really similar there.
I would protect a wild animal tortured. I would beat the shit out of the human. Well, I wouldn't necessarily beat the shit, but I would
If you
stop
had to
them.
get them to stop, yeah.
If I had to get them to stop torturing a wild animal,
Yeah, you would escalate force to whatever it took to get them to
yes,
stop.
whatever it took. Yes, yes, yes. Which I would also do to a human.
Yeah.
So there is overlap, and like there is. Uh, I just don't like it. I think it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
what it is. I just I just
I
don't
think
like it.
for a year or two before, like, so I sort of acknowledged it and then just didn't really think about it. I did not allow it to sink in. I was like, I think vegans are right, and I'm just shitty. But I wouldn't let it sink in. I didn't like. I sort of was like, okay, I'm going to accept this fact, and then I'm gonna put it on top of this membrane that doesn't allow it to sink into the rest of my consciousness because I just am not prepared to deal with that.
So that's yes. There's like a prior list of priorities that you have, and you can just continually put this into the category of like, oh, it's there, but I'm never gonna address it. It's kind of what you're saying. Like
Yeah,
it's like
cognitive
floating around on
dissonance.
top. Yeah, or sure, whatever you want. You're just kind of like, I don't know if it's cognitive dissonance because
Well,
you
because
I
you're
would
gonna hold
be,
two contrary thoughts at the same time.
but you'd be justifying one over the other. Like you'd be justifying eat. I guess I kind of am saying doing that. I'm saying it tastes good, but I'm not saying it's morally good because it tastes good. I'm actually kind of admitting it's a piece of shit thing, and
Yeah, like
but
it's really, really bad by like
well,
standards that
we
you
would have
already
to.
have. By standards that you've already expressed, it would be really, really bad. And because because the gain is so small. If somebody said if I killed 10 puppies to give my wife an extra 5 years of life, I'd be like, I would feel bad for you for
Uh,
having to do that. But like, I get it. I would do the same thing. I would probably do the same thing if I was put in that crazy, impossible, horrible, magical situation. I'd probably do it, but I'd probably be haunted by it like you are, or like I assume that you would be too. Um,
yeah.
but if it was like
Ye-
my mouth, I paid somebody to kill this pig, and now its best friend and kid are sad and crying somewhere right now because it made me feel good in my mouth for like 20 minutes. Be like, ah, what?
yeah. So it's tough in modern Western society to talk about this in particular. Like if we were still like subsistence farming or like hunter gatherer, then I don't even this wouldn't even be a conversation. So it's kind of
Because
like
we needed
it's
to then.
yes. So in a sense, it's tradition for tradition's sake, in ways, and people and it tastes the mouth feels are so great that people will just keep it in that category for the mouth feels.
Part of it now is there is and I'm not bullshitting, I'm not trying to use a true word here. There is a very toxic masculinity issue with men when it comes to veganism now, because I've had people that get outraged that I'm eating vegan. So my way to convert people isn't by debating them. I just have them try my food because I want you to know how
Yeah,
good it is. I know that most people aren't going to be open to the conversation, but if I give them some of my Beyond Jerky, or like, you want to bite of the sandwich? My sandwiches are like, they are so good. Uh, and when you eat it, you go, holy shit, like there's really no meat in that. That's crazy. Like, yeah, see, you don't even need to kill animals to get the thing that you want, which is like awesome flavors and mouthfeels. And like the textures and all that. It's all there now. So the problem that we have in
it takes a little
Western
more
society is
effort
that uh
to find because everything like advertisement marketing, the grocery stores are all set up like, hey,
sure.
look at this giant meat section, right? So it takes a little more conscious
So
thought and effort to get there, but
in the beginning, there's a few negative things that come along with it. Particularly for me, it was like I really missed pizza until I found a place that made really good pizza. There was I
the
wanted mac and
pepperonis,
cheese.
man.
Dude, I made a vegan bacon
Well,
and pepperoni pizza the other day, and I was like, I brought it to my wife and girlfriend. I was like, "Do you guys want to try?" They're like, I was like, "Just have a bite, and if you don't want it, I'll eat it." They're like, "Oh my god, this is awesome!" I'm like, I know. So I think of it like this: when you move to a new
time out.
area.
You were gonna say something about mac and cheese.
Oh, I missed
Wait,
mac
so
and cheese,
wait,
and I
okay,
craved it.
sorry. So we're not just we're talking about veganism. I was thinking vegetarian.
Hmm.
You don't eat not even eggs
No, no, no,
or
no.
dairies
Oh
or
God,
holies.
I
So
think that the
even
egg industry is probably the worst out of all of them. I
okay,
tried to
so
put on a philosophy video to fall asleep to, and it ended up just happened to be a thing about the egg industry, and I was just like, oh my God, I was trying to go to bed. That
okay,
was one of the big steps to me being vegan.
so I'm okay. I was conflating vegetarian and vegan in my brain. So
Yep.
I actually get this conversation with vegetarian. Or
Hmm.
wait, just not eating meat because I understand the whole death thing and like I'll be closer to getting there. But vegan, like you 100% could ethically milk a cow. 100%. Like with no qualms, issues about it. Like subsistence farming. Like I said, I could get a cow. I could get chickens. I plan on doing it, and I could get eggs from them. And I could give them a good life, just like my dog. I'll feed it. It just happens
I
to
did give you a
shit eggs,
scenario where
right?
it could happen.
Other they shit them out.
Remember, I told you about the vegan farm thought experiment?
Uh,
You could.
so
The problem with milking cows is that you can only milk them shortly after
so
they've
it
had a
feels great
baby.
all around. You put your mouth right on it. They love it. You love it.
I actually, I milk always made me throw up. It
What?
got worse and worse as I got older. So like every once in a while throughout my life, I'd be in the middle of eating a bowl of cereal, and then I just get up and puke. I think it's because I have asthma and I'm used to
Weird.
mucus dripping down my throat, and it coats your throat in a similar way, and
Yeah, the
my
fats kind
body
of.
just
Yeah.
freaks out. The
Interesting.
last time was like 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. I had chocolate milk with food, and somebody was like, "I can't believe you're drinking milk with your food." And I was just like, "Yeah, I'm trying really hard not to think about it." And I got up and I went in the parking lot and I threw up.
that is a gift if you want to be a vegan, because I don't think there's. I can get to the vegetarian part, but like cheese is like the best thing in the. There's no simulate. There's no alternative to cheese. Don't even pretend. Don't even try to pretend on
Hang
that
on,
one.
hang on. It took
No
me.
way.
Yeah, so here's
No
the thing.
way.
Listen. I'll tell you my
Yeah.
experience. I tried like
Mhm.
3 or 4 different mac and cheeses, and I was like, they all have like this sour aftertaste. It's kind of garbage. And I was at this store, that are like popping up all around here now. I think they're on their fifth location. And I'm looking at all, it's all vegan stuff, all organic vegan food, and it's like $10 for a meal. It's really good price. Uh, and she goes, "You should really try our mac and cheese. It's so good." And I was like, "Is it though? Really? Is it though?" And she's like,
It's
"It's so
funny.
good." I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna trust you." I was like, "But if this isn't good, I'm gonna come back here and tell you because I found no mac and cheese that's good." I was blown away. I was like, "Oh my god!" For mac and cheese kind, it's a nut cream, which is a very
Yeah,
funny thing
I've
to
I've
say.
tried it. Yeah, nut cream. Um,
Yeah, I was
every
blown
time.
away. It's so good.
So like I eat vegetarian stuff and vegan stuff. Like I have no problems with it. But I agree the I've tried mac and cheese without real cheese and other products with real cheese, and there's just the flavor profile that you can get with cheese. Like it just doesn't seem possible with other things.
And
From my experience, and this one might be the one you're gonna have to give it. Give me the let me
yeah,
know what it is, and
for the
I'll give it a
slices
whirl.
of cheese, there's one. It is more expensive though. It's like $7 for a pack of cheese, and I have it with my sandwiches. This shit melts just like cheese and everything. I don't know how they make this kind, but it's crazy. It that is out of all the things that I've seen since going vegan, that is the one that has truly like blown me away. Like you nailed it. You really fucking nailed it. And I'm
Okay.
I'm on this is like the fourth or fifth cheese sliced cheese that I'm on. But the way that I look at the transition is like moving to a new area. When you move to a new area, you got to figure out which restaurants you like and don't like, right? You're gonna waste some money going to a restaurant like I don't really like that place that much. Um, but it also gives you new experiences. So at first I was just kind of like stressed out because I didn't really know what to do. And then after like 3 or 4 weeks, I felt liberated. I was like, I'm not going to Taco Bell or McDonald's when I'm hungry and I don't know what I want to eat. It forces me to engage with my food more, be more creative and explore it. And now I have a much like more
Which I think
active
is
role
good
in
in
my
general.
food.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
just kind of wise in general to start engaging with your food. Labels, is kind of like the old school ways. Oh, just look at the labels, look at the ingredients, and who the fuck knows what they're doing now? Like I don't think that's a good barometer for dog anything anymore. Like, but yeah, people should interact.
Yeah,
That's kind of why I'm engaging with this conversation. I don't like anything you're saying to me, so like everything you're saying is very bothersome, especially when I realize we're talking about veganism and not vegetarian. With the cheese, that one's gonna be a tough one. Probably
yeah,
will never happen if I'm
if
being honest. I don't
so
think I
you're
could.
pragmatic. the
Yeah.
the way that animal rights are violated on dairy farms left and right, it's insane. I lived in the thumb of
Yeah.
Michigan for a long time, and I had people casually talking about because like a lot of them grew up on farms. They're like this cow would moose. I picked up my bat and I started hitting it. And people would like laugh about that shit. I seen in a farm in Ohio, them beating the cows in the head with a crowbar because they're not like cooperating with them. Wow, big surprise. This animal that you keep locked up in a cage and you steal its babies from it doesn't want to get up and do what you want it to do. They have to use like antibiotic rubs on their udders because they get like infected from being like milked raw and shit. They're constantly
Yep.
forced birth deaths, and cows have immense separation anxiety from their babies. They usually stay with their babies for like 3 months after they're born, like
Well, aren't they
hover
naturally
helicopter
herd
style.
animals of a
Yeah,
sort? Probably. Yeah. So yeah.
they have a
Yeah.
very
No. I
strong
mean,
emotional bond with their children.
so there's a lot of issues that you're kind of bringing up, even like regulation, like even the FDA and how they label things. It's like, you know, farm, farm rate. I don't know what's the, like grazed. I don't what's a free,
Yeah, free range and
free range.
think
There we go. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it is the
If
most
you look into
meaningless
that
term
shit,
in the
yep,
entire
yep,
world. It's like the word
yep.
organic.
Organic. I was just gonna say it's
There's
the
a
same
definition of
shit.
these words that
Yeah,
everybody thinks that it means, and these are
and
positive things, but that is never what's being talked about, ever, ever. It's
and
just to
that's
trick
why
you.
they. Yes, at a certain point, once you look it up, you're like trying to trick me. You don't want people to go vegan or whatever. You
But
want
I
people to
think
continually not think.
it's important to understand why they do that, though. The reason why they do that is because I think intuitively, part of being human is knowing that these things are wrong, and we need things to trick us. We need that indoctrination. We need these words that make us not that we can look at and go, okay,
Yes.
cool, I'm doing a
Ign-
good thing, because otherwise I'd be doing a terrible thing.
Ignorance is bliss. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's I. I almost want to go back to before we had this conversation. That's what I want to do because now I'm gonna have to think about it, and I do need to get my diet uh, uh,
I almost
shaped
warned
up
you
in
about having
general.
this conversation, but I didn't want you to think that I was
Dude,
being like arrogant or something, because I
nah,
do
who
think that
fucking cares?
it's one of those things that so after I did the pig thing, I
It's not good to have your
consciously
blinders on either. So
I agree, but I consciously avoided looking into how smart cows work because I was scared of the answer that I was going to find, because I knew that if I found out that they were as smart as I suspected they might be, that I wasn't going to be able to eat them anymore. And I was just like, I don't know if I could deal with it. It makes me think about somebody who. So if I guess I came up with a thought experiment a long time ago. There's a guy who, um, he knows through a sequence of events, he knows for a fact that God is real and Christianity is correct, but he avoids it super heavily because he knows that if he really lets it sink into his consciousness, he's going to have to change his life so much. So he has to do everything he can to avoid thinking about it, because if God's real, then he has to follow the rules, or he's hurting the most perfect being that ever exists, that all they want to do is love him. You know what I mean? So he just dodges it and just tries not to think about it. Turn to drugs to not think about it, because there's certain truths that once you realize, you have to change your behavior, or you have to live with the consequences inside yourself. Um, and that's, I think, a lot of people, they stop really early. They start to get those thoughts and they go, nope, I don't want to think about it.
yeah, and then it takes a lot of hurdles to get back to even acknowledging it or recognizing it. Sorry, my dog's being really patient and wants to go outside. I gotta switch him out here. Give me 1 second.
No problem, buddy.
She's being a sweetie pie.
I know the stream's going to make some people really mad. I can't ever talk about veganism without pissing somebody off. But if it's any consolation, I genuinely believe everything that I've said. And there's like nobody here, basically, but this is, I'm basically just speaking to the VOD here. If anybody sees this and they want to talk to me about it, I have different approaches to this conversation for different people depending on where they're at. This is the approach that I would take with Catdogbark. It might not be the same kind of approach that I would take with you. If you want to talk to me about veganism, you can. I don't ever try to approach somebody else about it. But if you think that I'm crazy or I'm dumb or I'm stupid or I'm missing something, you can hit me up. You can join my Discord, or you can message me on Twitter or whatever. I'm happy to have this conversation with people who want to have it. But that part's really important to me. I don't want to have a conversation with somebody who doesn't want to have it. Because I think the same with all my other morals, that my moral system's for me. But if you want to engage with it, I do think that most people think very similarly about animal rights, and they do avoid a lot of their own feelings about it. But I can't make you change your mind. I can't pose a compelling argument to somebody who doesn't want to hear the argument, period. So otherwise, that's why I just give people my food. Yeah, try this.
Sorry about that. Just got some water too. I was getting thirsty. Yeah, I was just
No
thinking
worries.
while I was gone. I think the only way for me to deal with this um, is overwhelming amounts of belligerence. Like that's like the only way I can combat this. For someone like me, it could either, yeah, that's which is difficult, or like you said, like try to keep it at the membrane layer and not let it sink in. But I've already
That'll
thought
drive you
about a lot.
crazy.
that will, yeah. Once you hear things, it becomes I have enough problems. I don't need to try to force ignorance on myself when I can't really do that in general. Yeah, you gave me some things to think about. Like I said, I can be overwhelmingly belligerent, but that might cause other sorts of problems. So I don't know. It's it's I the one I'm struggling the most. The thing I'm struggling the most with is the vegan aspect, the dairy and the uh, eggs, because that's a pretty hard one. Because so, anyways, like I said, because I have some skin in the game on this one more. So I want to do subsistence farming with some either ducks, probably ducks, but ducks, chickens, and probably a cow or something. I got land, and I think I could give them a decent life, and care for them, and do kind of what you do with a dog. It becomes more of a domesticated part of the family. It's not there to raise, fatten up, and slaughter. It's like you go out and you hang out with your cow for a little bit. You say hi to the chickens. You play around with them. You know they're retarded, or you chase them around, whatever the fuck it is. Um, so that I think would, at least for me, would avoid the. I don't want you to attack this idea, please.
No, I was gonna say I know a guy, one of the guys who was
Yeah.
like, the best way I can describe his beef with veganism was just that he had like too much. He was just like too macho to accept the idea because he'd like I'd offer him to be like, oh fuck no, get that shit away from me, like react in ways that didn't make sense. He had ducks. He raised ducks and
Yeah.
they were like his pets, and I was like, have you ever eaten duck before? He goes, yeah, and I was like, do you think you could still eat duck? And he's like, no, probably not anymore. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
So
he can't hide from what that would mean. He would see
but
the living
but
being behind the beak, you know.
for sure. But what I'm talking about is not the killing and eating part. Because I think with dairy cows, you at a certain point you have to milk them. Like if you have, like they have issues, you don't milk
Yeah, if
them.
you're force birthing them so that they're always producing milk, you have to milk them.
That's what they do, huh? They give them hormones and force. Yeah.
Yeah, they force them to have babies and then they take their babies away because otherwise the babies drink all the milk. So now
Okay.
you have a baby that's not getting its nutrition, and you have the mother that's mourning its baby and getting its udders all fucked up because we want the liquid that's in your body
Say it that way.
to
It's
drink
totally
it.
true, but yeah, don't cut it out. Stop it. No, but say you didn't do that, and
Mhm.
you had the cow, like, and you had it like what I was talking about, a companion, and say it got pregnant, and then
If you
you
just had the
drank its
excess
milk. Then
milk, only
yeah.
you would know if you're like doing it ethically or not. But yeah, that's my vegan farm experiment, thought experiment. There's a way where
How
you could
about
do it where you honor the animal and you're not
yes?
exploiting it. You are having a
Yeah.
partnership with it, saying like, I will only take what's extra, and I will not decide that your life has come to an end.
Yeah, so that's more like the subsistence farm. There was a period back. Just I'm gonna change the subject because this is too much. It's fucking me up. Anyways, there's a period back in humanity, just imagine, but there probably was, where we were subsistent farming, and we took technology and kind of went in a direction detached from nature. The incentive structures went kind of against nature, and we abstracted it out and made money in these systems and these systems ended up interfering with the natural order of. So, but to your point, there is a way to go back to that and get it closer, maybe not perfect, and then maybe, and I'm not saying that includes killing animals, but there's things like chickens now lay an egg a day. They just do that. I don't think there's any way to have not do. You could get a different type of chicken probably, but like,
I
you
don't know the
know,
specifics on that,
that's
to be honest.
I think that's just what they do, roughly. Ducks are a little longer, couple a week. I don't know, but I so like I can't see a way if you're subsistence farming to you'd have to stay away from the animal altogether to avoid eating the eggs. or you just have to get them, feed them, try to take care of them, and then just have the eggs wasted.
I don't think it's
I don't know.
inherently wrong to eat a chicken's egg. I think it's inherently wrong to do the things that it takes to get
Right. We already got
yeah.
there. Yeah, yeah.
Um, so one of the things, so there's a lot of things that happened a long time ago. This is another thing that I realized that because of the world that we live in, it is just inexcusable that we would behave this way. So, for instance, I think that, so I think it was just a few thousand years ago, there was roughly 40 like humans capable of reproduction. We were like that close to like one really bad storm or cold could have wiped us all out and we wouldn't be here today. Back
Mhm.
then, I think that it makes perfect sense to
Eat whatever you can.
kill somebody for being gay even because like no
Okay.
no you can't be doing that. What if other people want to do that? We're all done. If that idea catches on, you're gonna finish the whole race here, buddy. Absolutely not. You could
Yes.
suck it up.
I get what you're
You can
saying.
marry this chick. We don't care. It sucks for you, sure, whatever, but we really don't care. You cannot do that because if you do that and it's fun, you might get other people involved. No, well, our
You can't let that
priorities right
idea
now is
continue. Yeah.
surviving.
You
Yeah.
put semen in vagina. That's what you do.
Yes, that is
It's
your
yeah.
primary job. You make sure
Yep.
you go out and make sure everybody has food, and then you fuck people. That's what you're supposed
Yep.
to do right now. We need to survive. So there's some things that would be deplorable to do today that make perfect sense X number of years ago because of the conditions uh, that we were living in. And I have some sympathy for that because like that would it would really suck to be a gay person in that society, but like find it really hard to argue with people who are like, we do not allow that here back then.
Yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying. I guess what my old analogy was like. I think part of the issue that you're having, at least with the vegan part, is the technology. So I
Yeah, it's
think
just
there's
not
a way to,
necessary.
yeah. So I think there's a way to um go back, and you could develop technologies or ways of farming and cultivating that are just more ethical in general. And I think people are trying to do that, and they're to do
We,
that.
we actually
They're
have like
killing it.
lab grown steaks now. I read a journalist who ate one, who's not vegan or anything, and they were like, it was a steak. Like I don't know what else to say. It was a steak. It tasted just like it. I don't know if I'll actually eat anything like that. Just because over time, it was just like one day my wife was making either chicken or pork chops, and because of just engaging with the philosophy and the ethics of it, when I looked at it, I didn't see food that I don't eat anymore. I just seen dead body parts, and that's just how it felt to me. And I just have to
Oh
kind of be
god, that's
like,
rough. If you
uh,
that you might have did that to me. We'll see. I don't know what's gonna happen, but you might have done that to me, and then I'm just gonna curse at you in my sleep every night. And I'm not just gonna be cursing, just but we'll see. Yeah, there. So I guess my only counter to this on a large scale is there's a idea of like progress, that progress needs to continually be made, and I don't know if that's possible. At a certain point, things start falling apart. So I think this is giving you know making me I'm trying to make some arguments for why I don't have to change my.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll see.
you're reaching for the stuff now.
Hey, let me do
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
it.
I'm ready to counter them.
So, I mean, it's abstract, so you can't really counter it because it's a
Mm,
possibility.
sure.
But anyway, so the idea would be if you erode enough of the systems of traditions that we have developed to make us happy or functioning, it, it, you know, there's a pleasure element to humanity that needs to be intact to an extent, and if you remove like veganism and make everyone that will detract from that. If you're not supplant like putting it in with something else, you're just increasing suffering for a large amount of people. I think I could handle that increase in suffering, but I think that's because we have it so well. We've made so much progress in general in so many avenues. We can pull some things away and be like, you're going to have to suffer a little bit here. I don't think that this is the way things always will be. And like, I don't know if we necessarily know how good we have it, but I also don't know if that is the ceiling. So I'm just kind of throwing something out there. Do you kind of get what I'm saying?
Uh, yeah. So I guess the way that I think about it, uh, what you're saying in regards to veganism is that I do think that there's going to be certain benchmarks that we hit that maybe we can't overcome. And one of
Mm.
the things that we have to always be asking ourselves is what we're giving up worth what we're gaining? And when what we're gaining is not having to torture and mutilate and kill sentient beings, but at the same time, we're also gaining, because we have this motivation to not do that, we're also gaining amazing new foods that are uh, going to
Yeah, there's
be,
an innovation aspect to it that's actually pretty intriguing.
yeah, and it's interesting that there so if you're not careful with, just like any other diet, you can end up being missing some things and all that. But
Yeah,
people on vegan diets have lower risks of heart failure, cancer, a
cholesterol.
lot
Yeah,
of cholesterol. Yeah. One of the things that I found out too is that our we're not we are omnivores. Technically, we don't die right away from eating meat, but our teeth are herbivore teeth. Our intestinal tract are herbivore intestinal tracts. The reason why animals don't get like super bad cholesterol like we do is because their intestines are really short. Their food doesn't have to be in their system long enough for them to pull that cholesterol out of the fatty tissue. Whereas our food has a long way to travel, and we end up getting all this cholesterol that we're not really built to take in. Um, People use our
I don't know.
front-facing eyes as proof that we're predators, but carnivores, but we're not. Like our teeth, these are for biting into fruits and like hard nuts and stuff. I don't have claws to kill animals. Like you put me in the wilderness with no tools, I'm gonna be an herbivore. I don't have a choice. I am not biologically equipped with the tools to do what
You're
every
not gonna
single other carnivore on the planet does.
you're gonna be a scavenger. You're gonna do whatever it takes to eat whatever you can.
Sure,
That's
I'm
so.
just saying biologically we're not equipped to eat meat or to get
I
it.
disagree. I think what we're biologically equipped to do is most adaptive animal on the planet, and that's what we succeed at. So like you can point to certain things. I don't necessarily like. It's possible that our and I'm not a biologist or anything, so I'm just throwing shit on my ass. Like it's possible our teeth are fucking, herbivore teeth. But like we is in
Yeah.
the gallbladder. Like we have a gallbladder that injects enzymes to break down proteins. Like so like we're just made to be adaptive. Like we can live in deserts, we can live in jungles, we can like we're the most adaptive animal.
Sure.
Yeah.
I only
So,
point that out like at this point in the conversation because I
yeah.
think that it's because now I'm trying kind of going on like this is here's I explained why it's bad to eat meat, and now I'm explaining like why it's good to not eat it. So like I think if you were an alien species and you'd never seen any life on Earth and you just looked at all the animals based on their biology, we would be herbivore 100% without a second thought.
Yeah. No.
And
What
that's
we're
why we
talking
have a
what
lot of
I'm
biological problems when we consume meat,
yeah. I
like
just started arguing
cholesterol
about
and
something
cancer
that
and
has
stuff.
fucking nothing to do with what we're talking about. Hey, give me something, motherfucker. All right? Jeez. Let
I'm
me
a
talk about how
nerd.
we're adaptive.
I'm a nerd. I don't get into
Yeah.
anything too hard.
Yeah.
Or I don't get into anything unless I've nerded out on it pretty hard. Human evolution will improve so long as we can survive. Oh, sure. I'm not debating that, but I think that if we're concerned about our own survivability, animal agriculture has got to go. It takes up 1/3 of the planet's like usable surface. It's one of the largest. I think factory farming is the second largest cause of greenhouse gases. It's an immense pollutant. There's been like whole cities that have had like major health crises because of the runoffs from some of the farms and stuff. The cost to humans is so high that the slaughterhouse workers, I tried to touch on it earlier, They have higher rates of addiction, domestic abuse than almost any other career. In fact, there's a very specific form of PTSD that is only like, I mean, it does come up in some other areas, but it's extremely rare. The two most common places that you'll find it, well, I guess three: police officers, ex combat military personnel, and slaughterhouse workers get this PTSD that's caused by being the
Heard of this?
person that hurts somebody. That happens when they kill the animals. Uh,
Yeah.
there was this guy I seen interviewed, and he was talking about this pig was trying to like get out of like going into the room where they go to kill it, and he was mad, and his boss yelled at him to like get moving or whatever. He said if he would have come down there, I would have cut his throat right then. They their brains go into a different state which allows them to commit these kinds of acts. But then when they're
Like a
out of it,
temporary sociopathic, like kind of. Yeah.
yeah. But it fucks with your head when you're not in there too, and you have a really
Yeah.
hard time coping with it.
Yeah.
Tyson has a guy whose whole job is to read forms to people because they have such a high degree of illiterate people working there.
That's
Because
the only
nobody
people
wants
you
to
can
do it.
probably. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is a problem because that means we're exploiting the worst off and
That's a
poorest
whole.
people to
Yeah.
make that because people don't have other choices. We're going to
Jeez, man.
torture them by making them torture animals.
Are you just gonna sit here and just keep throwing shit at like this at me? Jesus Christ. Um,
Uh,
yeah, just to maybe kind of think about how we got here. Um, I think there was probably I'm just gonna fucking say random shit. There was a period when we went from like hunter gatherers to civil like settling down, creating civilizations, cities where we started farming, and
mhm.
we probably kind of like how humans do in general with most things. There's probably a ritualistic aspect to hunting, killing animals, serving them that was more communal and connected that we didn't want to sacrifice when we started settling down, but also wasn't necessary anymore. And
Yeah,
that's probably a tradition element that's really deep, far gone, and we've abstracted so far out of it that it's why it's still here is kind
I
of what I'm
yeah,
thinking
I
right
have
now.
no doubt in my mind that people that were hunter gatherers, even if you look at, I think like the last major population of surviving that I'm aware of and have seen or know anything about would be indigenous Native Americans. Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Braindead. I appreciate the sub.
Yeah,
Um,
that's who I was thinking too. Yeah,
and it wasn't just ritual. It was an idea about respect for what the animal sacrificed for them because they
very
did need
important.
it.
Yeah, yep,
And so when they killed it, they were extremely grateful for it. They observed it, and they respect it. And what they wouldn't do is that they would never kill animals that they didn't intend to eat.
right.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Even in their other kinds of rituals, they look to animals. They had a deep, deep connection with them in a different kind of understanding that anybody in the modern day has. And still, I could I can't guarantee it, but I think that based on the way that they treated and interacted with it, if they did not have to hunt the animals, if they did not have to rely on them for sustenance, that they just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, there's tons of lessons that like we just continually ignore that other cultures have done,
Well,
just for our greed or whatever it is, money. But yeah,
the thing that I'm driving at is that the people that needed to do it and develop those kinds of traditions would be the first people to stop eating them because of what those traditions were really based on if they didn't have to. The
but
traditions and the rituals and the understandings of what being a hunter gatherer was something that would make you not do it if it wasn't a part of necessary life.
I don't think that's how it works. I don't. And this is kind of beyond. I don't think Native Americans don't eat meat because of this anymore. In that, I don't. I think. I think it just gets in court. It's like Christmas or anything. You just start doing the thing that your society does. Like you don't really think about it. It's like you did something and it was ritualistic and it was ingrained in you, and then it morphs and you keep doing the thing that in its new form, even though it's not the same as it was when you were doing it, and it's not moral anymore or whatever, but it's hitting some baseline instinctual desire or something. I don't know.
Did I
Maybe
ever tell
that's kind
you how I feel about tradition without purpose?
of. I think we've talked about it before.
It's one of my
So
least favorite things in the whole entire world. I think that it
so
leads to some of the worst behaviors in people.
yeah, for sure. I don't disagree with that, but I would actually say I agree with that, but also progress for the sake of progress does
Hmm.
the same thing. So it's kind of like, two sides of the same coin or whatever the saying is.
Well,
Uh,
so somebody said Indigenous Americans totally eat meat. It just depends on the availability. Um, I don't disagree that they do, but they also grew up and live in a world that has the same kind of indoctrination that everybody else
yeah,
does. So it's
yeah.
it's not
There's
really a metric. I'm saying that the hunter gatherers that had to do it, the kind of understanding and respect and connection they had with animals would probably lead them not to do it if they didn't have to. So that was somebody on your side, and I understand, and I can't say for sure, but I think
I
that
don't even know what my side is, so I don't know what this person's saying.
well, your initial side, anyways.
Yeah. Well, my initial side was mainly I don't know what I'm doing. Good. That's so if that's
and
where they're at, yeah, that's
and
where I'm
remember
at.
too, I think I always advocate that better's better. I think that hunting is better than farms. I think that small farms are better than factory farms. But at the end of the day, I really want people to stop killing and torturing things that I would only ever want to protect.
Unnecessary suffering.
Yeah,
I think that if you're talking, that's kind of how I view it. Like, let's stop unnecessarily creating suffering or, and perpetuating unnecessary suffering. Like that's kind of how I'm taking what you're saying in a nutshell. And yeah, I mean, that's a noble goal, and I don't know if I agree with you. I don't know if I can overcome, you know what I'm saying. But
yeah.
I
I
do I can cognitively stand what. So.
I think there's a part of it that freaks me out too, in that there's like a certain degree of arrogance that people have, uh like we do it because we can, and I think that it
Yeah, that's not good.
informs
It's like a power
other
play
parts of their
almost.
life. Yeah, like I think that there's a lot of behaviors that we engage in that we don't put a lot of thought into, but that those subliminal justifications carry on into the rest of our behavior.
Yeah.
Like, you ever meet somebody and you can tell that this guy is going to be like a womanizing piece of shit when you go to the bar with him before ever seeing him
Oh
interact with a
yeah.
woman?
Oh
Because of
yeah.
the way that he kind of like treats other people, the way he engages. There is a thought process that's below the
Like
surface
an
that
arrogance
informs
or
how
like
he,
a yeah.
yeah. There's an arrogance and like a cockiness that suggests that he thinks that he is like the arbiter of what's good and what's right and what's best for other people. And also thinks that like people should just appreciate everything that he does and shouldn't
Mhm.
second guess it. So like when there's the idea that my pleasure is worth the suffering and killing of other animals stuff. I think that kind of
There's the
informs,
hubris. Yeah. Yep.
yeah, and I think that that's only bad for us. So I also
Yeah.
think that people that fully acknowledge and it's not like I want people to feel bad per se, but I think that it's good for us to
Necessary though.
yeah, self-flagellate a little bit about the idea that we do it if we are going to do it, because it's going to keep us from taking that same kind of mentality and using it as justification to bully other people, to hurt
Hey,
other
I'm
people.
I'm down with self-flagellation. They should bring it back. Those Christians, they got it right. Those monks, just cat of nine
They were
tails.
the rock stars of their time.
Yeah, I mean there's something this is that kind of goes into the idea of suffering. Like suffering in itself, there's you can't get where you want to go without encouraging people to accept certain amounts of suffering. And our society is seems so against that in general. That's something I'm willing to do. I don't know about on this topic. I'm gonna have to curse you multiple nights and then do other things. But you have to be willing to say things like that. Self-flagellation. There is a level of suffering for a greater good that you have to accept to get there. And the hurdle you're gonna get, and you're even getting it is that people are unwilling to do. They they don't. I don't think they know how much they can suffer and be fine, and they're comfortable.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
I
the
agree with
incentive
everything you
structure
said,
is
but I think there's a really important thing to add to that. That is that suffering on its own is not good. There should be a reason for the suffering. You should be
yeah,
treating the suffering for a reason. So like
that's why the
if
Christian
you need to
monks
lose
was kind of
weight,
yeah.
you should cut back on the foods that are making you heavy. You should exercise. You should endure
Yeah.
these sufferings because it will
Yep.
cause something greater to happen. If you're taking on these sufferings because you just think that suffering, like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, fucking stop.
Just
You're
continue to say
hurting
that
your
to yourself.
psychology. Yeah, you're hurting your body and your fucking brain,
Just
and you're
cutting your
probably going to be a
fingers
shittier
off.
person for it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you have to be doing it for a reason, and you have to make sure the reason is English. And that's kind of where I'm at with what you're saying. And I'm gonna have to think about this, and I'm glad this is actually recorded because I'll have to look back at it, and then I'll probably have hopefully I have some ways to combat you a little better. But maybe not. Maybe it just because I mean when I first heard it, it makes sense. And I was also coming from like I just like to eat meat. So it's not like I had like this fucking backbone of like thought that's like
I
gonna
think
take
that's what
you
it
out
comes
with.
down to for almost everybody. People put on a
I
bullshit
think
reason that they
so.
don't really believe. It's
I'm
just I mean, this will probably make a lot of people mad if they hear me say it, but like that's the same thing with guns. The real reason why people want guns, it's none of the shit they actually hate. It's 'cause you like them. You think they're fun to shoot. You like them. You think they're cool. Whatever. You like them. That's what it's really about anymore.
that's a
Uh,
whole different topic, and
but
I don't know if I agree with you.
well, like, let me put it this way. I think that's the case for most people.
Mm.
Some people might have a really deep ingrained ideology that they actually thought about and fleshed out. For the majority of people, they'll say a bunch of bullshit they've heard other people say. But when it comes down to it, they just like it.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, just to kind of give
And I'm
my, I
pro
think
gun.
free.
I think you should be able to have one.
I
I'm not
think
even against it. I just think that there's a lot of stupid fucking people making the pro gun arguments.
I don't think you can have freedom without violence.
Well, at least without the threat of
I
it.
The threat only works if you do it.
Well, sorry,
So
credible threat of.
yeah.
Well,
So
that's
so in
like
order
nukes.
for
You don't
it
have
to,
to
you
fire
have
a
to,
nuke for the nuke to give you security.
but it
You
happened.
just have to have
Nukes are
it.
no, but nukes are fired. That's
Sure.
so like you're on the backbone of that, and at a certain point, people will forget, and then you'll have to be violent again. That's kind of the cycle of humanity. It seems like, um, but like so that's kind of my cornerstone of gun ownership. I don't know if it actually has to be the way America does it or what it is, but it is defense of freedom in the end of it. And maybe there's an indoctrination in me on that one, but that one,
Well, no, I like I'm
I
saying there are some people that have good reasons that are like really fleshed out and they've thought about it, but most people don't actually believe that shit. They'll just repeat the shit that those people said because at the end of the day they like it because they're like in the club, like in a gun club,
yeah,
or they
it's a
just really like going to the shooting range or whatever, and they
yeah,
just think it's
yeah.
fun. That's the
I'm sure.
majority of the people. If it was
Eh,
if only people fighting for gun rights were people that had really strong ideologies that they fully fleshed out, gun rights would have already been gone. So
yeah,
I think that I do think it's important. Like the only reason I don't have a gun is because I live in
you're
Michigan.
a felon.
Everybody else
Oh, I'm
does.
sorry.
Everybody else around me has a gun. You know what I mean? We don't need guns to be. I don't. Every individual in Michigan doesn't need guns to be safe because like 10% of our state has more guns than the other 90% combined, and like the, they got this. They could start arming people left and right if they wanted to.
Yeah, I mean the thing with gun
Those are the
ownership
people that
that
really
people,
believe.
yeah, we're talking about the idea of gun ownership. When push comes to shove, if like let's say there's an apocalypse and then but let's say our society breaks down, we're mostly all gonna die.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you own a gun, don't own a gun. It's it's a fall of civilization and apocalypse for a reason. Like,
Or yeah, or
people
even if just
die.
the government decides to like turn on the people, like if that's the
Yeah.
case,
Mm,
like if they're gonna turn, like there's no reason they won't drop bombs.
yeah. Tons of people die. And there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do.
A couple of
So
people
like
might last a little bit longer because they had some guns, but they ain't gonna last that much longer when there's drones and bombs flying around.
right, but yeah, the idea is that freedom is secured with violence, and it's supposed to be equal violence, equal capacity for violence, but that's not really possible. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah,
I was just bringing that up to demonstrate that like most people have really like they'll get into a fist fight over these ideas, but they haven't really thought about them. They don't really
yeah.
like they have this like baseline desire, and they're using really good sounding things that somebody who really does care has said
Some
in the
rhetoric that
past.
they heard. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but they don't believe it. They don't fully understand what it means. They're just sort of defending their first like their most basic desire. Like I want what I want, and don't
I'm
tell
actually
me I can't
totally
have what I
fine.
want.
Like this is where like I'm fine with indoctrination. Um, it's I think if you can't, everyone can't be the philosophical underpinning of the concept. Every Christian can't have the best metaphysical understanding of the whole or whatever it is, right?
Sure.
Like some people have to just take a simplified view of it, apply it, say some silly rhetoric, and then move forward and do whatever else. Not everyone can work from first principles, and like it's just not
I
possible.
agree.
So you have to indoctrinate to an extent. You have to indoctrinate a large part of the population with a good idea and give them simplified rhetoric to apply it. It's
Right. The problem comes up when there's things like, from my perspective here, animal agriculture and people exploiting animals for their own gain, is that they're
yeah.
using these really simple ideas to attempt to justify something that is unjustifiable and wrong.
When the incentive is money behind it, it a lot of times you got to start looking at that and seeing what the fuck's going on because it's usually twisted around and like what yeah, it's doing what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and that like I don't think that there's any better way to show that there is an indoctrination against veganism than to just watch how angry people get when somebody just talks to not them about it. It's like watching somebody tell their dad they're a fucking alcoholic. They
Yeah, there
flip
is a
out.
strong response.
Yeah, they're a lot of
I
times
get it. It's
it's
uncomfortable. I didn't like this conversation at all, to be honest. Like,
yeah, because there's something in the back of these people's minds that they can't ignore, and when it gets brought up to the surface like that, they have to shut it down. Like, you shut the fuck up. Don't you dare make me think about this.
yeah, I that was happening to me. I get it. Like, I actively get it. Yeah, yeah,
And if you care about principles, if you care about thinking correctly, and you care about yourself, that's when you have to stop and reflect and go, this is something, even if I'm not ready to deal with this is something that I have to consider. This is something that I can't just brush off forever,
yeah.
because there's something inside me that's screaming when it happens, and I need to figure out where this screaming's coming from.
Or deprioritize it. We'll see what happens.
Well, you could deprioritize it, but you'll still hear that scream every once in a while. Something will happen. You go, fuck,
I
because that was
might now.
me.
I know. I don't know. It could happen. It could not. Right. Like only time will tell. Like next time I eat meat, will that be in there or in myself well
Oh, the
enough?
next time,
Or
almost certainly, yeah.
we'll see. I don't know. Yeah.
Interesting question.
Fuck.
Do you think your wife is going to give you shit if you talk about it?
No,
Oh.
no. If no, she's very like she's a hospice nurse and she does
Oh,
yoga and
gotcha.
it's like like she loves animals and like
This
honestly
conversation is
if
tough with my wife. She treats sick animals. She saves their lives.
yeah,
She does surgery with animals, and at a certain point she makes me shut up.
yeah, no, it's tough, but if I, if we could navigate this together. She's not
Cool.
I'm probably gonna be the one more fighting it. Especially the cheese one. She doesn't seem as attached to meat and cheese and eggs as much as meat. She doesn't have as much attachment to food in general.
Sure.
So I think, and I'm just guessing. I don't know. We haven't talked about veganism. Um, but I would guess that I'm gonna have the harder problem with this.
Sure. Well, you know how to get a hold of me.
just call
if
you
you ever have
crying. I'm just fucking crying, swearing, and just like, you know, doing all sorts of things. Man, I don't know what you. Who
you just
knows what you did to me?
you just call me up with a big like a mountain of steak on a plate, like, yeah, what do you think about this, huh? Am I doing something fucked up? Just tears running down your face, just shoveling steak into your
and
fucking
and
head.
you're just like, yeah, you are.
Just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a good car. I appreciated you talking about it. I trust you,
Absolutely.
and I think you gave me some things to think.
Yeah, no problem. And if you ever feel like putting yourself in a really uncomfortable position, I can send you the video that I was mad got sent to me because I was already fucking vegan and I didn't need to see that shit.
Dude, I don't think I don't think I seen the Cove, like we said. Like I see these things, and I don't think I want to see them. I don't need to. That doesn't work because you can just, for me at least, because you can shut those things out, and you can just continue going through with ignorance. I don't know
I
what
think I
it.
shut those things out before, but I think that was the video that was given to me for a reason, because that one was tougher to swallow.
I fucking send it to me. Well,
Ugh.
Jesus, just
I'm not
fucking
even.
send
I
it.
said if you ever feel like it in the
Just
future.
send it to me. Just send it. We'll
I
see if I watch it.
that's this is genuinely like that is like you just encapsulated the reason why I respect you so much. Is like I said earlier, you will fight against yourself trying to be bad faith. Like if you detect it in yourself, you'll actively fight it.
Yeah,
And
it
that's
sucks.
I I think that is one of the best qualities that a person can have.
I appreciate
uh
that.
in
I think
my
you do the
life I
same
deal with
thing.
people
So
that work so hard to bullshit themselves and each other just so that they can keep on doing whatever they want without thinking about any
yeah,
of it. It's such an important quality that just doesn't fucking exist anymore. So I
it's
yeah, I
tough.
really
It's tough to
appreciate
find.
it.
Yeah, no, likewise. I think you're the same way. I think that's why we get along so well. So
I do too. It's so funny too. Like before I actually talked to you, I just saw you as like the mischief goblin in the Mr. Grill video chats.
yeah, I still have the. I'm not saying I don't do that. I've dialed it back some, but I'm not. I get fired up about shit, and then it just happens, and then text does weird things to your understanding of people. But
Oh
dude,
yeah.
I've been gaming since forever. So like I had a troll phase, you know. I was playing Counter Strike 1.6, like fucking just being an absolute wingnut, you know, with people. So like I've done all, yeah. So I mean, it probably comes out sometimes. I try not to, but most of the time when I'm saying shit, uh, like if I'm really going at it, it's because I'm just being emotional.
Well, talking to you for 20 minutes, I think gets rid of any idea that you're just a troll, though.
Yeah,
You're just a guy
yeah,
who gets fired up sometimes, which is,
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
rather have people get fired up than people just not fucking speak their mind.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Uh, yeah, so it's cool, and I really hope you get your printer situation figured out. This whole
Dude, I
conversation
don't.
started because I was trying to help him troubleshoot his demonic printer.
Oh, dude, I don't think it's gonna happen. This is the second time I've looked at it, and I didn't get anywhere. Oh, I got that diagnostic tool that won't boot, but you know, maybe that's the next step, and I just don't think I'm gonna look at it today anymore. So maybe I'll get
That's
some.
fair.
It's a giant paperweight now, just a giant paperweight.
The best
Uh,
printer I've ever owned is my current one. It's a HP DeskJet uh, 3755, and I use their ink service. Pay $20 a month, and I can print 500 pages. And it's like
dude,
10 cents a page after that. They just send me ink whenever I'm running low. I've never had any real issues with this. The only one that I've had is sometimes I won't be connected because I'm hardlined in. I won't be connected to the Wi-Fi and they can't communicate. We're like, oh, or like my VPN will be on. I'm like, oh yeah, that'll fuck with it. That's it.
dude,
And I
I had this
print
shitty. Yeah,
constantly. Like I just printed like over 100 pages today for
this
my
was an
orders.
upgrade. This was an upgrade from one that was. I think I had it for like 10 years. This is some like Epson like XP 200, some like silly, you know, bottom of the line printer. Just a workhorse. Just fucking went, did its thing. upgrade to something. I'm like, oh, this is total upgrades. Everything's gonna be better. No, fucking nightmare. Like you said, devil printer, fucking
I got a
demon.
laser printer that I finally threw away. I got one and it arrived like fucked up, and I was trying to fix it and it broke. Like I physically broke pieces off because it's cheap as fuck. Like the plastic was. So they sent me a new one and it worked for like 3 months and then it just doesn't fucking work. So I got me an $89 printer from Best Buy because I had to print fucking order slips. And
Yep.
god damn, it just works. It just works.
That's actually my recommendation. Don't go, just stay bottom line. Don't go mid level, and maybe at the high end if you're getting like a
If you're
office
printing
printer.
5,000
Those,
pages a day, yes.
yeah, maybe
Spend
then.
$4,000 on a printer that comes
Yeah,
up to your
then
tits
yeah, exactly.
and
Yeah,
that comes with for 2 years somebody that will show up and fix the problem
maintenance
for
man.
you.
Yep.
By all means, go for that. Otherwise, yeah, simple is best when it comes to printers.
Yeah, I learned my lesson. This is, yeah.
And honestly, I did the HP ink thing. If you print a lot, it's pretty on point. I'm not
I
sponsored or
just
nothing.
hated ink. I just, are you sure? I just didn't like the ink printers. I didn't like buying it. It was like you're saying
I don't
the
buy it.
program isn't. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, $20 what a month?
$20 a month, and I get rollover pages too. So if I don't use all
No,
500, no, I pay 18.99 a month. And when I'm low, based on how I print, it'll make sure that it gets to me before I run out.
you have a business. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes. I
Yeah,
see. Yeah, 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 yeah.
but I mean,
I just want to,
otherwise, you just Amazon 2 days shipping for ink if
dude.
you're
I just
printing
want
new.
to print some porn out, hide it, and then that's all I want to do. Put it in my attic, go into my attic, and masturbate like a normal human. So.
I wish I had an attic.
Yeah, yeah. I put in a ladder and I'm proud of myself, so I'm just gonna hang out up there from now on
That's
and
what's up.
masturbate. Yep. But
Oh yeah, yeah. Enjoy that while it lasts. You don't have any kids yet, so
no, no, yeah,
me,
we'll see.
I don't just need the location. I need the right time of day.
That's why the attic's there. You just close it behind you. No one knows. They'll never find you. Like
My
it's
bathroom door doesn't
perfect.
latch either.
Yeah, attic. You need to install an attic ladder and then don't tell anyone and
I don't
kind of
own my
you
home.
can don't tell anyone. But it's always it's always been there. Wifey's home actually. Yeah, that's a good time to end this.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having the conversation. Even like, before we streamed everything, I always enjoy talking to you, buddy. Oh, I
All
didn't
right.
tell you. You're one of the few people who get it. I got Mythic and Magic Arena. I was in the top 200 players in the world last month.
Nice, dude. I still haven't got around to playing it. I probably the dogs are going off.
Yeah, I
I
know. I know you gotta go.
yeah.
Finish what you're saying.
One
I
of
won't
the
say anything else.
yeah, one of these days I'll get on that and can you just do like a head to head with like I could play you on it or how does it work? That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah,
So
yeah. And I can shoot
okay,
you lists and everything. That like you can just copy the code and it'll put the deck in there, and then you can figure out what you got to get.
nice, nice, nice. Well,
Yeah.
all right, dude. Well,
Take it easy, homie.
you too. Take care.
Take care. Bye. Uh, that's who Catdogbark is. Um, it's crazy to me that uh he's been like he's had been like gotten in trouble on like I don't know shoot like Reddit and stuff for just saying stuff. Like he has a lot of really valuable stuff to say. I think he's just hard to tell tone in text. Um, I think that if you ever see him in like any of the online spaces, if you think he's being like a weird or like super aggressive, he's probably not. Because I used to think that a lot. It's just shit comes out weird in text sometimes. But he's a real homie. I've talked to him quite a bit since the first time. I'm gonna get out of here. This was sort of impromptu. I haven't had a lot of time to stream, which is why I haven't done the part two to the reading. I wanted to do the reading on Sunday. Um, my mine and my wife's girlfriend broke up with us on Sunday, so that's not really been the best time to do that. And I've just been really busy with work and stuff, but I'm gonna get around to it. I don't want to say a time anymore. I've been to do it at my own pace. I've been really burnt out from the tremendous amount of workload I've been doing. I think like the last 5 to 6 days, been put in like 90 hours of just work, just like sacrificing sleep and everything, just going, going, going. So today I've been trying to take it a little bit easier, but still been working too. So yeah, but I was still gonna make an effort to stream when I can. I got some stuff I need to set up maybe this week, if not for next week for sure. It'll be cool. It's gonna there's a really some really cool stuff gonna happen soon. Already all confirmed. So I'm out of here. And thanks again, Mr. Braindad, for